How y'all doing out there? My name is Drumz and Rosez. To everyone who knows me in the music profession that I'm in, I'm a producer, audio engineer, and I go by the name, like I said, Drumz and Rosez. And today I'm here with We Create Music, and we want to give y'all a little behind the scenes, mini documentary on me and my life, and help y'all get to know the man behind Drumz and Rosez, the real me. You know, I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My real name is John Zienkiewicz. Last name is Polish. My dad was Polish and Jamaican. Polish, Jamaican, and Chinese to be exact. It's real common for Jamaicans and Chinese to reproduce and be together. You know, it's real crazy. It's real common though. My mother was Native American and Irish. I'm the youngest out of 5 siblings. I have 2 older brothers, and I have 2 sisters. This music journey of mine has taken me, it's been quite the journey. You know, everyone's journey is different, and mine has been really, really different from a lot of people. I don't think anyone's gonna have the same story as me. So I wanna take y'all on a little stroll with me and help y'all get to know me and see where I've come from and how I've came to the position and where I'm at today. So let's do this. Being from Milwaukee, born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it's really not a big musical background there. You know, we just starting to come into the, you know, getting our name, getting recognized more in the music scene now, because we have a lot of people who've made breakthroughs, a few people I should say, made breakthroughs through there, and they were doing some really, really good things and some really big things. But when I was coming up, you know, mid-90s, early 2000s, it was really only a couple people from the music scene to actually touch those barriers and do things. So it's like, you know, you really had a sports background or get out of the city and do something. So with me, I never was really heavy on the music scene like that, on the music side when I was coming up. I was all about sports. I played every sports except soccer. So, you know, boxing, basketball, football, everything. So, you know, I was always in it. My dad kept me in sports. Every school I went to, my dad actually worked there. So, you know, it was kind of hard getting in trouble in all the schools. So with him being at the schools, it was definitely big perks. You know, then it was downsides. My dad was real loud Jamaican, you know, so he embarrassed us all the time. But, you know, it was all love and everything. And my mom, you know, she took care of home, and she stayed there and made sure everything was at home. My dad took care of her. He made sure home was taken care of for her. He took care of all of us, you know, and like I said, she took care of the home. She kept everything in order. You know, sometimes in the morning I would go to school, go to work with my dad, or my mom would take me to school. She would get up, you know, we would make stuff happen, or I would just walk to school. When my elementary school I went to was called Our Avenue, but I left Our Avenue and I went to Gilbert Stewart, and I used to walk to school every day. My mom used to walk to school with me sometimes, and you know, she would make sure, like I said, I was taken care of. She was the mother. She was always there for me and always kept me on guard, kept me on lock, you know, and she didn't let nothing happen to me. My brother, the closest brother I have to my age, is actually 7 years older than me. So, you know, I'm 10, he's 17. There's not a lot that we really could do together. I was raised with a cousin of mine's named Andre, and my other nephew, my oldest nephew, his name was Brandon. So we were like neck and neck. Andre's a year older than me, and Brandon's a year younger than me. So we were really, really, really close, like this together. And during school, middle school, 8th grade, me and my cousin Andre, his nickname is Squirt, so you know we call him Squirt. He gonna kill me when he hear this too. But we went to middle school together, and in middle school we would ride to school with my dad. So dad had to be at work. He was the head engineer. He had to be at work at 6 o'clock. School didn't start till 7:45ish, 8. So we ride to work with him. And in the morning, he would go pick up my cousin. And he would pick up my cousin off the street. My cousin stayed off 29th and Village. So when he picked my cousin up, when he get outside, pull up in front of his house and just blow, blow, boom, 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 hit the horn, hit the horn, hit the horn. You know, people call the police on, like I said. He was Jamaican. He didn't care. Me and my cousin, once we got to the school, we went to a school called Andrew Douglas. It's also known as the Old Parkland, right off of 17th and Keith. So once we got to school, my dad would, you know, like, hey, you coming in? We have the choice to either come inside the school or we could stay outside in the car. We would like to sit outside in the car. I was 13, my cousin was 14. We would stay outside in the truck and just dissect music. So that's like where the music really, really kicked in at. We would dissect the music and we would just, albums, songs, whatever. You know, Cash Money was real heavy. You know, Big Timers, all them was real heavy in our playlist. Ludacris, real heavy, Word of Mouth. We dissected that album front to back. The Cash Money album, the Big Timers album, we just dissected that album. And he was always more of a artist standpoint person, and I was always the sounds and instruments kind of person. And I got that from my mama because she was real big and real heavy on instruments and sounds. One of her favorite artists is Isaac Hayes. George Benson, Isaac Hayes, you know, she loved just instruments, no words, whatever, and I got that from her. So when we would sit in the car and go through the music and everything, you know, he voiced his opinion, I voiced my opinion. You know, one of our favorite songs was Part of the Liquor by Tupac. You know, we used to just run through that song up and down, you know, every day. You know, then we go to school, then we talk about it and everything, what we learned, what we was talking about in the car with everybody else. And it's like some people couldn't understand where we was coming from. So it was just like, what? And we was like, never mind, man. You know, and then during that time also, my dad had his own cleaning business. So how I would get my stuff from, like anytime I wanted shoes or any games, like, you know, I always was pretty clean in school. You know, and everybody was like, oh, you know, you must be your dad's only child. No, I'm like, it's a bunch of us. But how my dad did us is that, how he started doing me once he got his own business, is that if I wanted something, he's like, all right, I'll get it for you, but you gotta work the weekend with me. So my weekends were spent a lot with my dad. Kept me out of a lot of trouble also. I used to do a lot of work with him. We do a lot of cleaning work, cleaning business. So we would go, we used to clean. Anybody from Milwaukee watching this, they gonna understand what I'm saying. Northridge Mall, before they closed down, it was a store inside of Northridge, the old phone store. It was called Primeco. Primeco, which is now Verizon. We used to clean Primeco with my dad. And so I'm like, yeah, I want these new jersey. I wanted this Tracy McGrady jersey. One time specific, I remember. I wanted a Tracy McGrady jersey. And he bought me the jersey and the new T-Max that came out with it. But he was like, you know, you got to work with it for the weekend. See, and working with my dad, it was great, you know, and he listened to nothing but the Temptations. So, like in the car, we were nothing but the Temptations or Tupac. That was his rule. All right, we gonna work, we gonna do this, but we only can listen to two artists, Temptations or Tupac. So I was fine on the other one, but I'm like, man, I'm not listening to no Temptations. I'm 13, like, I don't even know who these people are. Who? Like, okay, I know Tupac got a song called Temptation, but I'm not listening to this. Working with him more, I'm talking about like all my Saturday, we get up Saturday morning and I wouldn't be done till Saturday evening, you know, and it was fun. It really was fun. I spent a lot of time with him, my nephew, my cousin, he would be with us sometimes. But during that time that we were actually working, it was from when I was actually 11 up until when I was 16. So during this period, during this time that we were, that I was working with him, he would quiz me while we were listening to the Temptations. So, I mean, I was forced to listen to it. So I really got heavy on the Temptations. I got into him real big. You know, he would quiz me. the original Five Temptations, you know, and Eddie Kendricks, Melvin Franklin, Paul Williams, Otis Williams, and Dave Ruffin. No, you wrong. That's the classic five. That's not the original five. The original five was Elvis Bryant's, you know. So I learned a lot of stuff like that, and you know, hearing the music and just not even the songs that made them big, hearing everything. Oh, this is the A side, this is the B side to this one. This is, you know, I got to see a whole new light on music, and I got to see a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have knew about if it wasn't for my dad. You know, like my oldest brother, you know, he grew up in the 80s, you know, 80s, that was his pretty much era, 80s, 90s. So he was really big on NWA, you know, Tupac and everything like that. So that's where I kind of got the Tupac from, my oldest brother. My brother right above me, he was more into, you know, Cash Money, you know, No Limit. So I heard a lot of that from him. My mom, like I said, she liked music with no words, but then she would dip off into other genre, other music, you know, Barry White, but she was really big on no words. But my dad was Temptations everything. So learning this from him, like I said, I got to see a big music background that I wasn't familiar with, and that it started really intriguing me more. And then, you know, I watched the movie and everything with him. You know, I glimpsed through the movie. I'm like, I didn't watch it with him, but I glimpsed through it like, yeah, I'm not watching this. Okay, but I understood what you was talking about from scenes of the movie. And he also put me up on, we went back further from the Temptations. He put me up on Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. And, you know, that's 50s, 60s right there. So, you know, what 13, 14-year-old was listening to Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. So, you know, I remember going to, there's a CD store back home called Disco Round. And then another one was called CD Exchange. You used to go in there and buy the CDs or whatever. They had used CDs. I remember one day going there, he went and bought a Temptations Emperor Soul box set. He like, what you want? We bought, this was 2000, I want to say 2002. We bought Get Rich or Die Trying, 50 Cent, and I bought Frankie Lyman and Teenagers Greatest Hits. So that was different right there. And actually listening to Frankie Lyman opened me up to another, you know, genre also. He was one of the, him and Little Richard, you know, they were good friends at that time and came up, and it opened me up to a whole new genre of rock, you know, and black rock. So hearing that and hearing the music and hearing how they orchestrated music, then coming to the Temptations and how they orchestrated music, and then coming to Bone Thugs and Harmony, which is my favorite group who I grew up on. I was heavy on Bone Thugs and Harmony and Tupac, and hearing that, I had a good mind frame on how you know, it changed from the 60s and 70s to the 70s and 80s to the 90s, and then we hit the 2000s. So, you know, I really listened to a lot of stuff before my time, and it helped me understand a lot and gave me a good music intellectual mind frame about a lot of stuff. So that was, you know, real good moments like that. That was unforgettable right there. And my cousin used to work with it. We used to joke a lot. Like my dad was real loud, real crazy. You know, he called me, you know, hey John, you know, real loud, real crazy though. Like anybody knew my dad, you know, he stood out around no matter what. He was real light. You know, people almost thought that he was actually, you know, he was white. So like we'd be in stores, like true story, we in Burlington Coat Factory one time, and TJ Maxx. And I'm buying a coat for a school back in Milwaukee. It's, you know, winter is crazy up there. So I'm like, I gotta get a winter coat, you know, I need something that's gonna protect me for school. And we in the store and I just can't find a coat, man. And he, nigga, you gonna get a coat. And I'm looking at everybody looking at me, and they looking at him like, yo, this white man calling this little boy a nigga and everything. And it's like, you know, they don't know that he's Jamaican. He's just a light Jamaican. I'm like, Dad, stop it, looking at us. I'll take care of you. The hell with all these people. Pick a coat, nigga. And I'm like, yo, give me that coat. I'm ready to go, you know. So my mama, she walk out the store like, I'm not dealing with you, and she leave out the store. So we ain't doing that. But picking up the, you know, the pieces from that, it was amazing working with my dad. And then my brother Ali, he actually did a lot of work with us also. My brother Ali, he was 7 years older than me. But you know, we we was real close. So like my dad, every time we went, I was with me, we went to school together. We was always with my dad. I'm talking about like, my dad was bald headed, had a shade hair. Me and my brother cut our hair bald to be like him. So, my brother was, he had a big influence on my upbringing and everything also. All my siblings did, but me and my brother right here, my brother Ali, we just did a lot more together. He was, in the streets pretty heavy, especially during my middle school time. I went to school 17th and Keith. He was right around the corner on 19th. Him and my older cousin, our other cousin, Junior, real name Kenneth, rest in peace. And I'm talking, my brother used to come to the school. I'm 13, he's 19. So, he had real long hair. I had hair at the time also, but his hair was like real long. So I really looked up to him a lot at that time. He'd come to school, pick me up, watch diamonds all on it, diamond necklace, diamond, everything. And all the girls in the school used to be like, yo, who is that? I'm like, this is my brother. And, they was crazy about him. I'm like, I'm the one in school with y'all, like, hey, what about me? So, he had but he was just in the streets a lot at that time, and he got into some heavy trouble. For example, one time in my school, I had an 8th grade prom, and the prom got messed up because some 7th graders that couldn't get in, and some other 8th graders, they didn't purchase tickets or something, so they came up there starting trouble. One of they folks brought a gun up there. So, I called my brother like, I'm down here by myself. It's just me. I need help. Come rescue me. I have nobody down here. I said I was gonna call you when I was ready, but I need you right now. So I'm on 17th and Keith. He's on 36th and Florida. It's not too far. Milwaukee's not that big. It's big, but not that big. It's, not like Atlanta or any other big city. So it took him it should have been 15 minutes, but he got there in about 7 minutes. But when he got there, he came like with arsenal. He had a rifle, AK-47 in the car. He had a handgun, he had a grenade. I'm like, I just needed a ride. What are you doing? I'm like, help me. But this is not the kind of help I need. Like, I called help, not Rambo. So he like, yo, where they at? I'm like, I don't know, but let's just go. So, we leave out and everything. We go home. He like, don't let mom and them know that I came down here with it. I spent the night over there. We talked a little bit. He was just letting me know, don't be afraid. He's always giving me good pep talks. Warrior talks is kind of what he called them. So, tough love warrior talks. Like, okay, I just want to play basketball. It's cool, but I just want to play basketball. I'm not trying to target practice right now. So, but during my, when I got to high school, had a couple incidents up there in high school also, and he came up there, locked and loaded for high school also. I'm like, I gotta stop calling you. I just be wanting rides. I gotta stop calling you, And then in high school, my dad was there. He's working there for a minute, but he left he actually left and went to another school. And he wanted me to transfer with him, but I didn't. I wanted to stay there because I was already comfortable there. And I was, I didn't want to move out my comfort zone. You get uncomfortable, especially in high school. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I already got friends there, the people I'm cool with and everything here. So it was cool, but 2004. No, I'm sorry, I think it was 2000 early 2004. February 2004. My brother got into big trouble. Him and my cousin James. My cousin James had actually just got out of prison that day. And him and my brother was riding around and they rolled through a stop sign. That's what they said happened. They kind of paused and kept going. Police pulled him over right away. But the messed up part about it is when the police pulled him over, my brother had this gun in the car. He's not supposed to have it. My cousin's definitely not supposed to be riding. He's a felon. So what we gonna do? My cousin, they stopped. And my cousin, he jets, like I'm out. Officer gets out, chases my cousin. He falls. His partner gets out, handcuffs my brother to the steering wheel. So my brother's at the gas station, asking somebody come help him. I got friends at school who actually seen this happen because they came to school talking about it, but they didn't know this is my brother. So my brother's yelling for help, but nobody wants to get involved. They like, nah, I don't know what's going on. My brother reaches in the back seat, grabs his rifle out and shoots his handcuffs off. And he leaves, he's on the run. Now the police officer grabbed his jacket before he left, so my brother ID was in there. So later that night, I'm at home, in the room. playing the game. Supposed to be asleep, school tomorrow. Nope, I'm not asleep, mama, I'm on the game. Get a knock at the door. So we get a knock at the door and it's the front door, I go answer the front door. When I'm like, should nobody be coming this late unless it's family. So I get a knock at the door. As soon as I open the door, a police officer walk up in the house. Who is this gun out on me? Who is here with you? Where's your brother? I'm like, yo, I'm 15 years old. I turn around and run off. Like, I'm not even worried about you no more. I just know you walked inside my mama's house and my daddy's house and they don't know you here. So I walk off like, yo, I go yell for my mama. My mama come around the corner, you know, what the hell is going on in here? I'm like, yo, him. So she like, what you want? And he like, we looking for your son. And she like, well, you ain't looking for this one. So I got a couple of them. Which one you looking for? You know, I'm looking for Ali and everything. And she like, well, what do you need? Well, ma'am, I need to talk to him. She like, but this is my son. What do you want? My dad come around the corner. What do you want? You know, he cussing the police and everything out. He going in. I'm just like, hey, I just want to go back and play the game. Can I go? So they like, you know, he did, you know, they let us know what he did. They looking for him. He's wanted by the police, the sheriff, you know, Wisconsin police is looking for him. Police officer is like, you know, we want to search the warrant. You want to search the house. We ain't got no warrant. My mom was like, get a warrant. He like, man, we get a warrant. We coming back. We're going to tear the house up. I'm going to let you know right now. My dad like, search the house. He ain't here. I got to go to work in the morning. Hurry up. I'm tired. So we go downstairs. Police take me with them. They like, you know, Johnny, show him downstairs. So I show him downstairs and we get down there. The officer looks at me like, is your brother down here? I'm like, nah, if he was here, man, you know, I would've told you. He like, is your brother here? I'm like, no. He pulls a gun out and everything, you know, they don't find my brother. And, you know, another officer gives me the card, like, he was a young cop. He was like, you know, your brother's gonna contact you first. Once he contacts you, tell him to call me so I can help him. No, I don't even know what really was going on. So, you know, I hear from my brother later that night, real briefly and quickly. Next couple days, I got another cousin by the name of Jackpot. Talk about him more. He real crazy, talented, dope producer. He actually picked me up for school and was like, your brother want to see me. So I went and seen my brother at, I don't even know where we was at, to be honest. But when we talked, he let me know what was going on and he was just like, I don't know what to do. He was like, you know, I'm thinking about just hitting, I'm gonna leave. And I'm like, you know, nah, man, you know, you leaving, what I'm gonna do without you? You know, this is how I'm thinking, like, bro, what I'm gonna do without you? You know, you gotta be here. So, went and talked to my mom, I talked to my dad, and I let them know what happened. And, you know, my dad was honestly like, look, I'm gonna take this money and use it for the lawyer, or if I give you this money so you can run, you don't come back. And he was like, and if you do come back, you know they're gonna capture you. He's like, you gotta make yourself safe, you know, what you wanna do. So before my brother can even really make a decision, we get a call like a couple days later. Oh, he in the house and he having a standoff with the police. So, you know, we pull up over there, you know, my mama, we pull up over there. He wasn't having a standoff. They just had everybody in the house on the ground. They didn't know who he was. They knew who they did, but they didn't. So, you know, long story short, you know, they arrested him. Once they arrested him, it was like, you know, this is, you know, my mom. I don't know what's gonna happen. So he really didn't fight the case and everything because he couldn't. You know, he went through with it. You know, took a plea. I remember watching him come through the courtroom, though they had him strapped to a chair with like an electric harness around him, saying that he was at a great risk factor, flight factor. And, you know, that they had to keep him strapped to the chair. And, you know, it hurt my mama feelings seeing him like that. And I'm like, right, you know, yeah, he got, you know, it's messed up what happened, but you know, the cases that was before him was real crazy, and it's like, you know, they ain't trying to hear it. So during that time, you know, like that started, you know, shifting me in a different perspective and towards a different lane. Like I said, that was 2004. That year was one of the most detrimental years of my life up until that moment. That was the year that I met the mother of my kids, and that was, you know, like that was my first serious real relationship. But, you know, that was the year that my brother ended up getting into that trouble. That was a year that a chunk of me was taken. My dad was hurt that year. My dad got hit in the head by an airplane propeller, November 12, 2004. I'll never forget when I got the call. A sister by the name of KC, she called me, and I just never forget, her voice was so shaky. John, come home. Dad's in critical condition. Flight for Life had to go get him. So honestly, I didn't even know what Flight for Life or critical condition was. I was 16. I had just turned 16 in August. I didn't know what Flight for Life was. I didn't know what critical condition was. I was just like, okay, Dad's hurt. Crazy part about that day, though, that day was just so off. My dad was filling out an application. He filled out an application for Walmart. He already was working in PS Milwaukee Public Schools, head engineer. He worked at, he had his own cleaning business. He worked at the airport so we can fly for free. And then he was gonna take a job at Walmart because Christmas was coming up and he wanted to have discounts. Cheap, Jamaican, 8 jobs, all just to be beneficial. So that day we went to Walmart, he did the application. My dad normally comes home and he gets a nap. He didn't get a nap that day. So, he was off. My dad was epileptic, he had seizures and stuff. So it was really important that he got his rest. So with him not getting any rest, kind of threw everything off that day. Like I said, he's epileptic, so it was really important for him. When he came home, my mama was just excited to see him. And he asked me, like, should I go to work? I'm like, man, quit. You gonna quit today? Today's your last day. There's no point in you going to work. So I just quit, stay home. My mom was like, come on, quit, stay home. Forget it, let's do something together. She was really, adamant about him staying home and not going to work. He was like, well, today's my last day. So I'm quitting. I see y'all when I get home. I see you, man. See you when I get home. That's the last thing he said to me. So, I got the call. Like I said, I didn't know what critical condition Flight for Life was. I was dumb to it. So I just was, walking. I actually was around the corner. I was only a couple blocks away from the house. So with me walking to the house, I actually was running. I didn't know, what to expect. But I never forget when I walked through the door that night and walked in the front door and see my mama sitting on the couch rocking, crying back and forth. It was just real heartbreaking to see that. And she was like, come here, my baby, come here. And she gave me a hug and she said, you think he gonna be all right? First thing in my head was like, he gonna be all right. Mom, his dad we talked about. Once we got to the hospital to see him, they weren't supposed to let us back there, but when we got back there to see him, one of his lips was like, one of them was like 2 of mine put together. And that's how swollen his face was. Bone above his eye, he had broke that. The bone in his hand, the bone in his arm right here was shattered. And the stem in the back of his brain had stretched out. So he had internal bleeding inside his brain. They said that what happened was someone must have hit the switch on an airplane, it was a smaller jet, turned the engine on, and it sucked my dad towards it. And when he seen it, or it started moving towards him, because he used to put the stoppers under the wheels. So when it was coming towards him, he must have seen it, threw his hand up, crushed all that, hit him in the head, broke that, and gave him brain damage. So, the doctors was telling us that, the brain is not something they can go in there and heal and fix themselves. It has to heal on its own. So with that healing on its own, it just, it didn't work. They told us he only had a couple of days to survive. But he went beyond that. When the doctors told me that he only had a couple of days, I was like, nah, I ain't worried about it. I looked at my sister, and I looked her in the face, and she was like, how can you be so strong? I was like, because it ain't over with. I was like, I know it ain't over with for him. I was only 16, but I just knew my daddy wasn't gone yet. But he was never the same after that. He never recovered from it. He was in a vegetable state. He actually started improving, opened his eyes up, throughout the course of time. He was in that state for 4 years. But from the first year of everything happening, it was real crazy. First Thanksgiving without him, first Christmas, his birthday is January 1st, New Year. So first New Year's without him, my birthday without him, it was just crazy, man. During that time, I also found out that my First son was on the way. I was 16. So it was just real, it was a lot, man. It was real tough. And it was just heartbreaking, man. Once I went to the hospital to see him one day. First time I ever seen him cry. He had a trach in his throat. And he couldn't get the mucus out his lungs. So he had tried to cough one day. And he was trying to clear it out. He couldn't clear the mucus out. So they had to stick a tube in his throat. It was me, my boy Tyler, my friend Eddie. My mama was at the hospital. Tyler and Eddie was sitting outside waiting. Me and my mama was in there. I told her I was gonna come up there. I had been playing basketball. I was trying to avoid coming to see him. It was hard. It was hurting. It hurt. It was heartbreaking to see him like that. This was my hero. He was everything. This is all I know. So we went from going to work every weekend to me, not in the house at all, not even hearing your voice. Like I said, he had a real powerful and loud voice. So, going from not hearing him in the house at all, or going from hearing him in the house to not hearing him at all, this is all I had from working a weekend. It was crazy. So that day at the hospital, when he tried to cough, he couldn't do it. They put the they put the tube in his throat, and I watched him sit up and actually, cry. And I watched tears come down his face. So I turned off and walked off. My mom was like, "I'll see you at the house." I walked out that room, broken. I was never the same after that. That was like October. So I started getting into the streets. I was already in the streets and started getting there real heavy. My dad wasn't around anymore. So I started just picking up a lot of stuff I seen my brother doing. I started, just following them ways. I lost interest in I still played basketball, and I was always telling myself, "Hey, I'm gonna go pro. I'm this good. Ain't nobody jumping in the city or dunking like me here. But, I'm this good." I was amazing. I ain't gonna lie, I was real good. But, my mind wasn't in the right place. So a year to the day my dad got hurt, November 12, 2004, he got hurt. November 12, 2005, I got locked up for armed robbery. So, I spent 3 years inside of prison. I was 17. And out of everybody on the case, I was the youngest one. They told me I was a ringleader. They gave me 7.5 years. But I only did 3 years off of that. And that really changed my head. It messed me up. I went in at 17, came out when I was 20. And missed my son being born. I missed everything about my dad. My mom used to just tell him, well, he'll be here soon, he'll be here soon. So it was, then going through prison, turning 18 inside of prison, it was just, it was a mental hell. And I look at how did I get through that? I know how I got through it, because God carried me through. I didn't do that by myself, I definitely didn't. But when I got to the mental mind frame of controlling my emotions, because I was so worried about what's going on outside of the prison wall, but I had to learn that ain't nothing I can do until I leave here. So, no matter who's into it or this person's talking to this person, I'm not hearing from them, ain't nothing I can do about it, because I can't do nothing until they tell me I can leave. So I had to, set my mind frame and stick to just, I only call home twice a day, every 2 days, every twice a week. Once a day, twice a week. But, once I got home January 2008. I got my first real actual tax-paying job in March. Once I got my job, I was working for about 2-3 weeks. My dad passed away April 19th, 2008. I guess he was like, I'm done. I've waited long enough. And I got that phone call that morning. They called me I went and seen him the day before. It was a Friday, I went and seen him. That Saturday morning, they said he was sick Friday. That Saturday when I went to see him, they said that his blood was thinning. So when it's poison. When I got to the hospital to see him, they just broke it down in a nutshell and just told me his blood is getting weaker, his blood is getting poisoned, his legs was like brick, ice cold. So the lady, the nurse explained to us that him being on this medicine is poisoning him and making him worse. So she said that 2 things they can do. keep him on the medicine and see what it does, but it's a great chance it's gonna make him sicker, or take him off the medicine and let him fight on his own. She said you'll know within about 15 to 20 minutes of how his body reacts on it. When they took my dad off the medicine, within 2 minutes his heart started dropping, his blood rate started dropping. I held him in my arms, me, my mother, my oldest brother was there, my dad's niece, like my cousin Christina on my daddy's side, the mother of my kids, she was there also, and his blood just dropped instantly. I'm talking about within 2 minutes. After my dad passed, I kind of went numb. Everything just was a blur, honestly. Like, I really don't even remember the funeral. I remember seeing him, seeing my mama and a couple of my siblings, but I don't remember nothing else. My brother, that same year, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. My brother Ali. So it was everything was just like, man, falling apart. My mom, it definitely changed her also. Like she said, she felt my dad's presence gone. She felt like she lost his energy from that house, and it was rough. It was rough, but through that, stuff started getting better. That's when I left basketball alone. I was supposed to go to, I had a cousin who had someone out there in UConn, D1 UConn, University of Connecticut, and they wanted me to come out there and play basketball, but I didn't do it. I had just got home. My son, John, he was, at that time, 1 going on 2, and I just felt that I wanted to stay there and I didn't want to leave him again. I was already gone for 3 years, missed everything, so I was just ready to keep stuff moving and everything with him and keep everything going. So after that, I had a friend named Craig, and he actually put me on music. He was big on producing at that time. So once me and Craig started working, and I had a part-time job at a daycare. And not a daycare, I used to clean daycares. 2 daycare, I think I made about $300 every 2 weeks, $150 a week time, I think that's what it was. So me and Khris used to go clean the daycares, and he used to school me on Fruity Loops and tell me certain things about it, and he used to certain instrument and show me, well, this is a rim shot, this is a kick drum, this is a hi-hat, this is a snare. So I saved up my check and went and bought me a laptop. Talked about this before in another interview, and I bought me a PowerBook laptop. I thought I know nothing about it. I started teaching myself GarageBand. And once I learned that, I started getting more in-depth with music. I actually signed up for school at Full Sail University. I learned that there was more to the producing, that there was more mixing was like such a critical part. So during my years during I was going to school, I was going to, like I said, Full Sail, but they was killing me whacking me with the price. So after I got the equipment and everything, I stopped going. Like, it was hard going to school online and being a full-time father and doing work. And then I had just had my second son, Jakai. I had just had him. So it was just like, I can't do it, and I had the equipment and everything. So I'm just gonna stick this out and try to, work with this and go through it. So I started going with music pretty hard and heavy at that time. But then I ended up catching another blow. And in 2011, my mother, the house that I grew up in, the bank took it from my mother. They foreclosed it and took it because my dad, when he passed, he was in bankruptcy. And when my dad passed, actually also, he passed in my arms. I wanted to bring this up also. He passed in my arms, and he smiled when he took his last breath. So, that was something really crazy right there to witness. But when my mother, she moved to Arkansas with my sister, so now I'm here in the city with, family, but no parents. So it was just real weird being there. And during that time, also my mother was gone. Like I said, I took another blow that year hard. My auntie, one of my aunts who helped raise me, my auntie Shosi, she passed out of nowhere. You know, they found her, she worked at a hospital and they found her in the bathroom. She, went and took a seat because she was out of breath and they found her in there deceased. You know, she wasn't breathing. They said that she had walking pneumonia and she was having trouble breathing. So she was like, I'm just gonna, go take a seat, catch my breath real quick. And they called us like, my cousin Michelle called me. Like, have y'all heard from my mama? This ain't usual. She had the same routine for 10 years. And this routine was broke this day, and it was odd, and the way her husband played everything. He left, he normally don't leave her. He always stays and waits for her from work, tells the bus driver waits on her. He tells the bus driver, the city bus, we can leave. It was just real weird how that whole day planned out. But my aunt, this is her right here. I tattooed my aunt, she passed away. That scarred me right there. Moved down here to Atlanta, 2013, when my baby right here wasn't even one. She was only a month old. I started going with music full time again. But then I fell back off with music. Me and the kid's mother, it just wasn't working with the career I was choosing. And there was a lot of issues there they caused a lot of issues and we couldn't resolve them. So I left music alone again. I kept a foot in it, but then it just wasn't like, it just wasn't I felt my passion leaving. So then once my mother started actually getting behind me and she started, I started seeing her more interested in showing more support. She was like, I love it. She was always there. Like, one thing about my mama, she never came to any of my sports games. That was always my dad. But when I started doing music, my mama was my biggest fan. She was there, like, everything I did, and she was always behind me, like, y'all, let's send me this, or I like that, let me hear this. And like, she bought all my stuff that I would put out. Anything I did with somebody else, she would tune into it. She was like my #1 fan, and it was just amazing. So like, my first placement came with Layzie Bone. I actually did the single for him, one of his latest singles. And when I did it, it was just, it opened up some doors because people started wanting to know who did this. I personally, I didn't like the beat. It was trash. I'm just doing it now. But he liked it, and everybody else was liking everything. So once I did that, that opened up doors. Then I had a placement with The Game on his last 3 albums. And my mama, once she heard that, she was just, it was crazy. She was going crazy for me and everything. But then after landing my placements with The Game, I was on his last 3 albums, Documentary 2, Juice, 1992, and Born to Rap. I received credit on the song with him and Nip. I received writer's credit on that. The song with him and Dom Kennedy, Gold Daytonas, production credit on that, which is from the Born to Rap album. 1992, I have production credit on Juice, and on Documentary 2, I have production credit on A Dollar in a Dream. And that song was produced, that's with Cool and Dre. So like I said, after that, I started getting a little more recognition and everything, especially from my hometown and everything. I started getting I still felt like I needed to do more and go harder. I found out, like, when I was on my music, trying to go to actually pursuing it and going really hard for it, I found out that my mother had cancer, and it was kept from me. I found out over the phone. I was living in Atlanta. My mother was in Arkansas. She's 8 hours away. So I found out that she had cancer. It was just a battle from the period when she was diagnosed to the very end. She had to get surgery. I just remember it in 2016. 2016, I lost my cousin, Marlena. Me and Marlena was real close also. She was like a sister to me. She passed away June 2016. The next year in May is when my mother had got her cancer, when we found out about the cancer stuff, and they gave her surgery. And chemo sweep is what they called it. It was supposed to be a sweep clean of chemo to get rid of anything. Mother was doing good though. She gained weight. We was happy. Then in like July, they said that she beat it. Come back around on November, in November, right before Thanksgiving. She wasn't feeling well. She went to the hospital and they diagnosed her and said that it had progressed to stage 4. And that the cancer was, it was just massive. It was just increasing. So I drove over there in December to go visit my mom, because she had a doctor's appointment. At the doctor's appointment, we was in Arkansas, and I really fought a lot of the doctors and the medical system in Arkansas for what happened to my mom. Yep, we should have got a second opinion. She should have got a second opinion, and she should have took it over here. I was trying to convince her to come here to Atlanta, to that cancer institute or the cancer treatment, but she just wanted to stay over there and get everything taken care of. So she started the chemo. I was in December. I came back over here to Atlanta. One night my mama called me and she was crying. And she was just like, I don't want to disturb you. And I'm like, Mom, you ain't never disturbed me. And she just like, her anxiety was really, really bad. The medicine had her really messed up. And I told her, I'm coming over. I dropped everything. And I drove over there the next day. I believe it was a Thursday. I left then it was Thursday. And I left Friday morning. I just packed and just drove over there. And when I got there and seen my mama, it was like 4 or 5 months. I hadn't seen her since December. So when I had seen my mama, this was in April. End of March, beginning of April. She was definitely she didn't look the same anymore. Like, her skin was darker. She had lost all her weight. This was the massive chemo she was doing, and it really just changed her. And it was hard seeing a mama like that. It was real hard. This is all I had left. And it was hard seeing it was heartbreaking. So I put together I tried to do a different meal prep and holistic plan and everything for us to stick by. But the cancer was just massively growing. My brother came home in April. And this is, I haven't really talked about this to nobody, but on my way over to Arkansas, I picked over my oldest brother, Dubis, from Mississippi. We had to go to Mississippi. And when I got over there, he was, the plan, my mama said she wanted all her kids together one last time. She wanted all of us together getting along, because we really don't get along like that. So when my sisters already lived over there. Shanessa, Casey already lived over there. And my brother Ali was coming home in 2 weeks, and my brother Dubis, I just picked him up and took him to over there. So I'm like, okay, you ain't got nothing going on really major. Stay here. In 2 weeks, I'm gonna come back with Ali, and we all gonna be together. My brother left, and he went home. He went back for something he had to do. So my mama never got a chance to really experience all of us together like that, and that really bothered me. And then when my brother Ali got home after being gone for 11 years, I felt he left too fast. He was only there for a couple days. I felt he left down there too fast. I get a call a couple weeks later. My mama's not gonna make it. The doctor say there's nothing they can do for her. So I drop everything, go pick her up, bring her over here to the Cancer Institute. When she walks in the building, she says her energy is better, she feels better. But that day, the doctor said they couldn't do nothing. She was like, your mama's real sick, man. You gotta take her home. It was like, the only thing you can do is give her what she wants now. They said it was spreading through her entire, from her organs and covering everything up, and it was shutting them down. So, once we got back to the house, she was staying here with me here in Atlanta. We tried to get her home, but it just wasn't working. I did try. I tried. Did I want her to go? No. Did I put in 100% effort to get her back over to Arkansas? No, I didn't. Because I felt my mom was already over there, and I felt Arkansas had killed my mom already. And I felt that she didn't need to stay over there. I felt it was, let me have a chance with my mom right now. Let me try to do something with her. I ain't got no parents, so that's all I got. She ended up going back to Arkansas. And that was May 13th, she went back. May 12th, she went back. my sister's birthday, Mother's Day. May 13th, they called me and said that she's not speaking anymore. She's like shutting down, she's not even talking. So May 14th, I got there. When I got to Arkansas on May 14th, and I had, all the kids with me, of course, and this is my daughter, she don't like the highway now because I spent a lot of time traveling on the highway with her. Every time we drive, are we getting on the highway? She hates the highways because the highways remind her of what happened with my mother. They love their grandma. So May 14th, when I got there, my mom was in the bed, she wasn't talking to nobody. I looked at my mom and I asked her, why do you have to go? My mama got up out the bed, looked at me and said, because I have to, and laid back down. Last thing she ever said to me. My brother's train was coming in that night at 3 o'clock in the morning. The train was delayed, so we get there and waiting for him. Me and my brother, we waiting for the train to get there. The train is delayed. We get him finally about like 3:20, 3:30. So I'm driving on the highway and something just tell me just gas it. So I just hit it, boom, I'm going, flying. We get to the house at 3:41. My auntie Sam standing outside. Casey standing outside. And my auntie looks at me and my cousin Neil. And my auntie looks at me and says she held on for as long as she could. It was 3:43 we got to the house. She passed at 3:42. So we walked in the room and she was still warm, like I just took her last breath. And that right there completely changed me. And it was just, it was real messed up how I lost both of my parents, because I feel like both of them suffered. So, May 15, 2018, that was just, man, I feel like the worst day of my life right there, because it changed me as a whole person, and I'm still trying to figure stuff out 2 years later. I don't have everything, I don't know what I'm doing. I just feel like clueless at points, but it broke me to show me because I lost everything from there. I lost just, relationships. I shut down. I didn't know how to handle stuff. I didn't know how to deal with stuff. My relationship with God was severely damaged because I just felt like the protection was gone. I had questions that I didn't get an answer to, and I just, was hurt about everything. I didn't stop believing him. I can't stop believing in God because I've seen too much and been through too much. But it definitely made me mad and upset with him because I didn't get answers and I didn't have answers. I'm 29 with no parents, and I don't know what to do no more. And I just felt abandoned. So my relationship with my kids took a hit because I wasn't mentally there emotionally. I lost my relationship with my wife. We split. And, it took a while. It took really up until now for me to find myself and keep everything moving. When I say now, I mean 2 months ago. 2020 hit, it was just everything going down the drain. Work and everything going bad. And I have a cousin, I mentioned before, Jackpot, producer, and he has a lot of sounds and stuff with music, and he's crazy with it, but he just I need help with this. I don't believe this. I don't believe I can do that. And then I got another cousin by the name of Business Boy, Dre. He out there in LA he heavy hitter. I talked to him and he gave me some pointers and told me come out there. You gotta just take risk and go. So my cousin was on a business perspective. He was we gonna fly you out here. The team, we gonna fly you out here to Vegas. And I want you to work. I want you to see what you can do in the studio and stuff. I had no money, none. I'm telling you, I went out to Vegas with $7 in my account. This was about 2 months ago. And the day before I was getting ready to go, I was about to call him to cancel because I was afraid, for one. I was afraid of not, what was gonna happen. I was afraid of not knowing what was the outcome. What can I do? But then I said to myself, this is what you want. This is what you said you was gonna be doing. You gotta keep everything moving for your mama, for your parents, for them, for my kids. So I just let's do this. I went out there, and when I went out there, I always doubt myself. I always don't think, I never think I'm that good, or I'm this person. I'm like, okay, this is better, this person's better. You know, I'm just real down and playing myself, always downplaying myself and humble about it. But when I went out there to Vegas and I seen a whole nother style of production that I didn't do. So he works with machine. So actually incorporating the machine, that was my first time using the machine. So actually seeing the machine hands-on, him doing it. And when I first got my hands on it, I went crazy. I'll be the first person to tell you right now, I got a friend by the name of Cord, you know, a real big entrepreneur. And he told me, I had a talk with him about a week before I went out there. And he said, you gotta remind yourself. He was like, bro, you talented. He was like, you know, you that nigga. Remind yourself, you that man, you that dude. And I had to remind myself, like, bro, you good. Like, you talented. I looked in the mirror and told myself, like, you got this. This is what you do. You know, if somebody don't like it, somebody else is gonna like it. So when I went out there and seen that machine, I took with everything I knew with FL Studio, and he showed me what he knew with machine. That same day, oh my God, like we made some crazy, like I discovered a whole new set of skills and an array of sounds and stuff that I didn't even know I could do. And it's like it woke up that monster, it woke up that beast, and it was like, yeah, you do this. This is what you do. You know, don't doubt yourself. You know, within that same time frame period, like I got flew out to Vegas. I got a job at the studio, Complex Studios. Shout out to Complex Studio. I worked there. I got a job there. I got a job at another studio. Then I was doing freelancing at another studio. So that's like 3 different studios. I finally have a career. I'm finally in doing what I want to do. You know, it just came like that. Me believing, saying that I'm gonna do this and manifesting it. This is what I'm going to do. After my trip to Vegas, like I said, you know, it took me, it was a humbling experience because, you know, I went out there with $7 in my account. Like literally, I had $7 and everything was taken care of for me. That opened my eyes. I learned right then to manifest. I learned to speak everything you want into existence. I said this year, you know, it was a bad year. Everything I went through, I was like, this is what I deserve. I deserve this. And I took that and ran with that. You know, after all that stuff started, I started seeing everything. When I went out to Vegas, it opened my eyes up so much. You know, I'm like, I'm seeing this. You know, living here in Atlanta is one thing, but then going out there and seeing something else, and with someone who's from the same city I'm from, who grew up, and you know how they grew up. You know, we both from Milwaukee. You know, we both from. It's nothing. You know, Milwaukee. You know, it's hard. So to see him and talking to him, and he like, yo, this is the car I was getting ready to get before the COVID hit. You know, he's gonna get a Bentley coupe. You know, we talking, and you know, he got money and stuff, showing me stuff, you know, stuff that the lifestyle, and showing me stuff that I know that I'm worth and I know I can have by just doing what I'm doing. So seeing that woke me up, woke my eyes up, opened my eyes, and I'm like, yo, this is it. Come here, boy. And I'm just like, you know, this is what I do. I'm meant to do this. And it helped me really, really see that. And it broke through for me. That was my breakthrough barrier right there. Like, I lost everything, like I said, from my parents to relationships, you know, to a failed marriage and everything. I lost everything. $7 in my account, but I was the happiest I was because it just felt so right at what I was doing, and I just felt so good. I'm working with more artists. I'm dipping in there, you know, I'm just different genres I'm touching in, you know, my skills, I'm like I said, it's the beast. It's the skill set and everything I have, the mind frame, everything is just different. Everything is immaculate. You know, like I'm at a whole nother level and everything right now. And I know I am. I'm not cocky, but I'm not in competition with anyone. And I know how good I am, and I know I'm just getting better. I'm rubbing elbows with people and everything who I never have talked to, never would have met, and who, when I meet them, it's a mutual respect. They're like, oh yeah. I don't even say nothing about my placements and the stuff that I did. We just talk, and they hear my sound, and they hear when I speak, and they just like, yo, I like you, you know, like I like your energy. I like this you give off. You know, you're real humble. You know, I approach and talk, you know, like my cousin, Business Boy, is multi-platinum producer, Grammy nominated and everything. I can, you know, easily call him and say, or text him, yo, help me with this place and help me with that. But it's a business first, and I understood that. You know, I texted him one day, and I told him I had just made this melody. Melody was crazy. I made it when I was in Vegas. I texted him and said, cuz I don't have much. I got $100. I know it's not much. I know you work way more than that in express business. I just want you to add some of your drums here. Let me know, yes or no. What's the worst that can happen? You tell me no, you don't like it? I lost everything from my actions and from, and I lost my parents, and unwillingly, I couldn't do nothing about that. So for me asking you, can you know, throw some drums or do something right here? What you gonna tell me, no? Anybody gonna tell me no? If you don't like it, I know this person right here gonna like it. So I learned a lot from that by myself. You know, my kids, they've helped me grow tremendously into the person I am. You know, I just turned, my birthday just happened, I just turned 32, and I'm going higher. I feel great, I feel amazing. Of course, I still have my days, but I'm taking it to a whole new plateau right now. I'm just thankful for everything. You know, like I said, I'm just in a real happy place. I couldn't be more happier. Of course, we want more, we strive for more, but I know what I'm getting. It's already said, it's already done. I have artists I'm working with, you know, Tana Man, been working with Tana Man for the longest, DT, he's working on his project. I'm like hands-on here. I got stuff going on in Vegas right now. I got other projects that I'm dipping and touching in, and it's like everyone is full circle coming around to me, and it's really happening, you know, and it's like, I see this. Everything is coming full circle, everything is coming close. Been working with Creative Villains, 3D Black, been working with them more. They platinum plaques. They're my dudes right there. I look up to them, you know, Kurt, and one of the dopest engineers, you know, mixed 2 Chainz's first album. Matt B, got some stuff going on, Matt B. Can't talk about how great and everything Matt B is. Bryce, this is my secret weapon right here. This is an artist by the name of Bryce. I'm gonna refer to him how he refers to himself. Just a white boy with a lot of soul, and that's him. He got stuff going on right now that's immaculate and just crazy. So, you know, everything is touching, all the corridors is hitting, everything is coming. We just growing, like I said, you know, and I'm in a wonderful state right now. I may not have a bank account full of thousands of dollars, but I have that back there. I have my 5-year-old screaming for me, and you know, I'm sure he wants nothing. Look, I have my oldest son dictating him, you know, Leia, come here. You know, I have my princess right here, new relationship stuff, you know, and it's just, everything has just been going good. People in my corner, everyone who's working with me, everyone who's in my corner, everyone who's actually helping me, you know, I feel great. I just feel great about everything. I can't complain. So I'm loving everything, how it's working. I'm glad to have taken y'all on this quick journey with me. Of course, there's a lot more, but I just wanted to sum it up. Didn't want to bore y'all so much, so I wanted y'all to just get a quick pizzazz, I should say, of what we doing, what I got going on. So I'm glad that y'all actually took the time to sit with me on my brief little journey. I'm glad to tell y'all about my experiences and some of the darkest moments and experiences I felt that I've dealt with in my life. I'm glad y'all are gonna experience this great documentary that's put together, this mini doc put together. I know y'all can't see, but I just wanna take the time out to appreciate the relationship that I have with the man behind the camera right now, Mr. Vaughan, the owner of We Create Music, and who actually doing this, because without him, there wouldn't be none of this going on. Y'all wouldn't be hearing, seeing none of this, you know. So I have to take the time to appreciate him and to give my gratitude and thank God for putting him in my life and the way we met. Payday, 40 mil, Yo Hunts, gotta thank all them right there because they've been so supportive and they've just helped me a lot through my, just with simple conversations with my period of time, you know, the stuff we were going through. So this is me, this is John, this is Drumz and Rosez. I thank y'all for being here. I thank y'all for taking the time to sit here with me. I thank you for everything. This is not the last. Watch everything else to come. We got this. Come on, y'all. So, appreciate this. I really do. But that's it. We out.